And while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, saying, What think ye of Christ? Whose son is he? And they said unto him, The son of David. And he said unto them, How then does David in spirit call him Lord, saying, The Lord said unto my Lord, Set thou on my right hand, till I make thine enemies thy footstool. If David then calls him Lord, how is he his son? And no man was able to answer him a word, neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. May he add his blessings to that word. And now, for a few moments, I'd like to take this, if you'd call it a text. What think ye of Christ? After you've seen all these meetings and everything, what do you think of Christ? Whose son is he? That's been an old dispute through the ages, through the scientists and through the evolutionists and so forth. What was Christ? Who was he? And it's just as simple as the question is, which was first, the hen or the egg? You've heard that. Which the hen come from the egg, and which is first, hen or egg? Well, the hen was. God made the hen laid the egg. Now that's the same thing about the scientific research of the bloodstream of Jesus Christ. Christ was the virgin-born Son of God. See, and a scientist once told me, not speaking science because my brother's here, but there was a scientist once went hunting with me out in the West, and I met him, and he was about the roughest fellow I ever seen. He said, Do you mean to tell me, when I told him I was a preacher, he said, You look too intelligent to be that. And I said, well, not disputing your words, sir, but I believe that's the mark of intelligence. And he said, well, anybody would believe such a story as that. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, such as that virgin birth. He said, you know better than that. I said, no, sir, I'll admit I don't know any better. I said, that's just all I know. And he said, well, you mean to tell me that woman could have a baby without being... So that was Joseph, that man that she was going with. There's a little slip-up like we have all the time. I said, oh, no. God makes no slip-ups. That was absolutely God's Son. He said, well, there is no such a thing. I said, you mean there's not a Creator who made the heavens and earth? He said, no, of course not. He said, oh, it's psychology. I said, well, how'd the world get here? He said, it was here when I come here. I said, yes. That's right. In the room you was born in was there when you got there. And the furniture was arranged, but some intelligent had to arrange it that way. That's exact. Why, it would be silly if I'd say, well, how'd that watch come? Well, it's just a watch. That's all. It just happened to be a watch. Well, now, the timing, the jewels, and everything, anybody was mentally balanced right would know that some intelligent made that watch. Had to time it and regulate it and put the hands and jewels and the operations. Well, then how much greater is your body than this watch? See? Because it was a man that made this watch, and somebody had to make the man. So if a person says that we just happen to be, that shows there's a mental deficiency somewhere. That's right. And so he said, well, now, he began to tell me the ethics of Darwin and so forth about how evolution came into existence, how the world and the sun and the moon, you've read it perhaps, had a love affair and chipped off a little piece and flew off, and that made the world. And the first man was a sponge, and he wore a little wart on this side, and out come an arm, and then he decided he wanted a little arm on the other side, so it rolled a few thousand years over on that side, another arm come out. I said, look, fella, I'm kind of weak in faith. I said, I don't believe that. I can't believe it. I said, I just believe the way God said it was. I said, the only way you can prove that's by faith. You can't prove it any other way. I said, my faith's too weak for that. I said, I haven't got that much faith. I just believe that God made it the way He said He did. And he said, all about the virgin birth. He said, it's proven, Reverend Branham, that corn, everything else has to have a pollen, the pollen from the corn and for the trees and how the bees pack it and everything has to have actual male and female. I said, sure, there was a male in this respect. I said, that was God. Well, is God a man? I said, God's a spirit. Oh, impossible to contact the actual human being. It has to be the sex part. I said, oh, no. I said, now look, you will admit to me, will you, that the woman had the baby. We'll say that was right. The woman had the baby, and he was Jesus. Yes, I'll go with you that far, because there's some kind of something went on through the world, and to come down history and so forth, that there was one here called Jesus, but he wasn't no virgin born. I said, then we'll admit that he had a natural mother. Yes. Now, in your estimation, he would have to have an actual father, earthly man here to be his father, or he could not have been born. He said, that's exactly right. I said, will you stick with that, Mr. Jeffries? He said, I will. I said, all right, I want to ask you something then. If this woman had the baby, and you said it was impossible, it had to have a natural father, it had to have an earthly father, as soon as it had an earthly mother. I said, that's exactly true. I said, then how did the first man get here without father or mother? Where did he come from? Let he be tadpole, monkey, whatever he wanted to be. According to science, he had to have a father and a mother. Is that right? I said, who was his father and mother? Well, he asked no more questions from that time then. It just settled it. Their argument is thinner than the broth made out of the shat of a chicken that starved to death. They haven't got a leg to stand on. No, sir. Jesus Christ was the Son of God.